Should we react to it, or should we let it be?
The city is teeming. Words, glances, and gestures represent the social aspect of it and decline the connections through daily exchange. Public spaces are movement and interactions. On the other hand, fields live in silence, as if time stopped. Outside the city, the streets are crowded with cars. There are no squares or meeting places, and everything follows a slower rhythm. The suburbia became transitional. It is now just an empty space.
Which are the issues that high water entails?
We asked ourselves whether it is right to let nature be nature, in a process defined as renaturalization. Thus, water is the element we are following, to react to the problem that the site presents.
It is dystopic if we observe how the marshes of these lands returns periodically. In 50 years we will observe what already happened in 1985 and 1881 in the marshlands around Ljubljana. One of the main problems is that the dwelling of the site under study will be entirely submerged.
How do we fit into the territory when the landline is hidden?
We focused on what was missing: connections. Through a systematic pathway of connections, the infrastructure soaks like a sponge and expands. What does it mean to create interactions?
The networking of actions create an invisible but rather present space that we, as humans, create throughout our actions and relations. With these schemes, we study the dynamics of the possible interactions between public, working, and private space. We defined some simple but very specific modules that represent those topics to give a possible scenario to a future development in the area, understanding the link between nature and human activity.
The terrain level will continue to change over time due to water rising and sinking. Thus, we create a system, a new level that elevates from the ground. These light elements reflect on water, where the infrastructure and the land live in a mutual relationship. It is the concept of in-between, a place where different relations can meet and unite.
The development of the project leaves space for the unpredictability of human beings. The infrastructure is thought to develop over time, allowing it to spread and decline in multiple forms. We focused on the infrastructure's ability to stratify, to collect messages and stories, to imprint cultures and developments on itself and the landscape, which remain visible and legible through the course of history. Moreover, elevating the infrastructure from the ground gives us the possibility to extend the system wherever it is necessary to deal with the floods.
Our approach strongly relates to Plechnik Church of St. Michael. The project presents a connection to the existing street through an elevated entrance. It is clear how the architect reacted to the frequent rising of the water level and applied a solution to live together with it. We then identified some elements that define themselves in the very specific symbols they convey.
Through the communal work of the inhabitants, the infrastructure develops, starting with the vertical gesture that detached the new level from the ground. Then, the horizontal dimension creates the necessary extension to inhabit every ontological layer of living. The diagonal, instead, is a connecting tension that breaks the two elements to create the starting point of co-living. The stair, necessary to coexist on multiple levels.
The system starts to develop in relation to the existing houses of the site. In fact, part of the infrastructure leans on existing walls. The new level ensures public spaces to enable a functional development between the community. Through common facilities, it is possible to nestle these interactions organically at every level of associations. While the old existing houses remain visible in the landscape, the roof is the first form of shelter and thus essential in its declination as protection and home. It also covers the function of aggregation that develop into cooperatives, a symbol in the history of Ljubljana and in the social aspect of cohesion they cover.
Through working facilities, we imagine a new working system that takes care of the marshlands in a collective act of farming. We consider the ground as a living element. Water flows come from above and below, and when the landline goes missing, the infrastructure becomes a new ground level.
Reacting with the problem means to set aside and follow its natural rules. The concept of coexistence means to react with it according to its dynamics, in the process known as action and reaction.
To follow the territory and its mutations is what we call an act of care. It is possible only within strong bonds and connections. It is specifically about weaving relationships, not only between humans, but with all living elements.
Water becomes the measuring element for a linear but organic development, which doesn't oppose to the changing environment, but instead coexist with it.